Hi, this is Miss Lavodi, and this is part 3 of our tattoo art inspired digital painting. In this video, we'll be going over how to add color to your tattoo inspired digital painting. Once your outline is done, you are ready to start making new layers to add color to your tattoo art inspired digital painting. First part of my video includes adding color to the dog portrait, but unfortunately while I was working, my screen recording did not save. So the video shows most of the color already added in. So I'm going to begin here. I'm using the watercolor wet brush in medibang paint to apply color, and I am doing a long hold, or you can use the eyedropper that's on the left hand side of your menu bars there on the medibang paint screen to select color from the reference picture. I'm using the wet watercolor brush, but I fluctuate between that and the regular watercolor brush for the dog portrait. And you'll notice that the colors are kind of laid in shapes of color. And then I switch to the blur brush to blend the colors into each other. With the blur brush, I set the size and opacity so that way I can just smooth out the color, and it very seamlessly just blends color into each other. So if you did a good job of applying light color next to dark color and you just had shapes of color sitting there in your portrait or whatever you're coloring in, the blur tool will very nicely smooth those out. And then you could go back in and add color where you need to with your watercolor wet brush. It's important to keep different parts of your image that are getting colored in separated into their own layers. This will make it easier for you to erase, fix issues, move things, or duplicate, flip, and rotate an image in your digital painting. So I started with the dog portrait in a separate color layer underneath my outline layer, and now I am applying color to the flowers in the picture, and this is also going to be done in a separate layer. I'm using the wet watercolor brush again. You can play with the opacity of your brush to like blend or layer color on top of each other, but I'm going to go back and add some details in here and then smooth this all out with that blur brush tool. For the rose in my picture, I wanted to try some shading under the color first, similarly to how a tattoo artist would in a watercolor painting or in an actual tattoo. Applying black and then using a gradient to fade it out will make the color that goes over it richer and appear to go from dark to light. I switched to the acrylic brush and brought the opacity down lower for this. I'm also using an Apple pencil, so I use a lighter pressure when I'm applying my pencil to the screen. So here you can see I'm switching to the acrylic brush, and I'm putting dark shading to set up contrast in my design. So I try to leave a little bit of white space, and I try to make the black shading appear to go from dark to light from one end of the section I'm coloring into the other. This will allow for some negative space and for some lighter values to latch in, so that way anywhere that's still white, color will appear brighter. And then I switch to the blur tool again to smooth this all out, to keep it looking soft. And then I am going to eventually switch to color, which will go over this. So now I'm applying red with the watercolor brush and a low opacity, so that way this could mesh together with the acrylic brush that's underneath it. You could stick with the acrylic brush as well probably, and that's fine. But the trick here is to let the color really sit on top of the black and allow it to mesh and blend and add that value into the red. I'm going to clean up some areas with the eraser tool just to make sure I have enough of that lighter bright white space in my rose, and then I'm going to continue applying some more American traditional style coloring like red, yellow, and green, and use the blur tool to smooth out anything in the design. I will be selecting a tan color for the banner, and this will also be done in a separate layer from the other two things that have been painted in already. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white for some highlight in the banner to give it a little shine and contrast. For an image in your design that repeats or is meant to be symmetrical, work on that in a separate layer and color it in completely so that way you can duplicate, flip, and rotate as needed. So I did all the color and shading in this one butterfly, just this one out of the 4 that I had. So I'm getting all the color and shading the way that I want it, and then all I have to do is duplicate this layer, flip it, rotate it, and it will continue to appear as a mirror image throughout my design. So I'm duplicating it, I'm flipping it, and then I'm flipping it vertical, flipping it regular as needed in order to repeat the design. Continue to have fun and add color to your design. Have fun with your color choices and remember to emulate that style of tattooing that you are interested in. As you can see, I colored in the rope in a separate layer. I alternated 2 different tones of a yellow and then added in a little bit of white highlight on top of it. Just going in, and you can erase and neaten up any of your layers to make sure color isn't coming through. I worked on my purple clouds and smoothed those out with the blur tool. Once you're done adding all of your color to your design, you can leave your background white because you can develop this further in Taisui Sketches, which is our next video. But for now, you can export your work as a JPEG to your device by clicking the 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner and exporting as JPEG, and then click Save Image.